Well, I don't want you to divulge too much of, well, you've given like the overview, but you're that's also okay, whether we're keeping this that's
We need
also
to start it soon.
oh, I think it has started.
Okay, okay.
So that you know, right? So
Okay.
let's just say that it has started.
Okay, let's
And
go.
this is what I want. But honestly, Natalie, like when I was thinking about doing this, you're somebody that you were one of the very first people that came to mind. I was not like I'm trying to get into the podcast business. That
Sure.
isn't really what I was trying to do. However, I was like, if there's somebody that I want to talk to and I think about people in the industry, you're the person, you're like one of the very first people I thought of
Thank you.
because of what you just said, because it's what I've identified. You have navigated your way in a space that I think is, to be frank, male driven. I think there are not. This is for my own. This is where it's like my own sort of ignorance. If I were to think of females in the industry, of which I know there are many, and I know that my relationship with you is a little bit different. So I've got a bit more of a pulse on what you're doing, but I still wouldn't be like, man, I know a lot of females that have navigated their way through the industry in this way, have reinvented themselves or evolved in this way where I could be like, I want to know what her road was like, but you fit that description, right?
Thanks for
You've
saying that.
been yeah, no, and I mean that, and I mean that sincerely, which is why I was like, man, I want to talk to Natalie about her road because her road is, I think, the road that many females in the industry would want to mirror in
Thank,
many ways.
thank you for
So
that.
so yeah, that's why like I've been reaching out to you for the better part of a year because I was like, you are like the one person where I was like, I want to talk to them about their pathway because I think
Absolutely.
you're the path that many, not just females, but coaches want to follow.
Thank
So
I'm excited. I'm excited to be here. I'm excited to chat. Yeah, there's so much to talk about.
being a female in the industry, tell me
Oh
then.
my gosh. Okay. Uh yeah, I go back and forth. I think that sometimes my thought process, more often my thought process is less about being a female and more just about being a coach, not being a
Yeah.
female coach, just being a coach. I would be lying for no reason if I said that, like, that's how I always think. Of course, it's
Yeah.
different, and I think that it presents some challenges. I think it presents some really good benefits that I think we'll get to, like, as the conversation just kind of goes. Um,
Mm,
I think it brings a different perspective, and I think that it's definitely a different journey for sure. I often say when I get asked this question or this comes up in any type of conversation around this topic is most often people are on the strength and conditioning side, especially on the elite athlete training side, people
mhm.
are still not nearly as used to seeing a female in those
Yeah.
roles.
Yeah.
It's getting, it's getting a little bit more normal, maybe, but there is still, yeah, they're not thinking that that's who they're going to see. They're not thinking that that's who they're going to, show up and have as their coach. I remember when I was working at EXOS, I was doing evals on an NFL veteran, went through, force plate, the whole thing. And at the end of the eval, I shook his hand and I said, "All right, I'll see you tomorrow at 9. Make sure you bring your
Mm.
cleats. We'll start on the field." And he was like, "Oh." He thought I was like the eval girl,
Yeah,
intern, whoever. And it wasn't in a rude way, but he was just like,
for
"Oh."
sure.
And then
Yeah.
he kind of just gave me a fist bump and he was like, "All right, see you tomorrow." And I could tell that he was polite and all the things, but he was surprised that I was going to be his assigned coach. And then thankfully that athlete and I built a great relationship and he got a ton out of the program and I received some great feedback from him. But yeah, those are the type of situations where, that I was maybe potentially his first female strength coach. So I think that that's a reality of it still. Um, yeah.
Did that change your approach? So that moment happens for you. Do you now go, I've got to win him over? Or you're just like, oh yeah, I expected that. Let's go. Like, how did that affect your
Yeah.
approach?
I think that there's for sure been a few moments. I think we all have them with like imposter syndrome and things like that, not even necessarily specific to being a female, but just in
Yeah.
general.
Yep.
Um, but I think it's just part of who I am, and you probably know this about me, that I'm like a competitive gal, and I'm like, all right, cool, like let's fucking go. You know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
almost like a motivator to me, and like I'm excited he's here. I know what I can bring to the table. I know how I can help him. And as long as I stay authentic to that, then I'm
Mm,
confident that things are going to go really well. And so it's never, it's never really made me change my approach or shy away from opportunities. If anything, it's been like, all right, this is awesome. I actually love
right.
that you're surprised that I'm here. And like, I'm really pumped to see you tomorrow. Like, see you on the field. I'll have my coach,
Yeah.
um,
Yeah.
that type of thing.
Did you always want to coach American football?
That's such a great question. Um, Kind of. So I
Yeah.
grew up watching NFL football with my dad.
Mm,
Um, my dad loves football, loves sports. My whole family loved sports. Um, and so yeah, my dad and I on Sundays would like make a bunch of food and like watch football and
mm,
chat about the game, and he would teach me things. And I grew up playing soccer. Like that was my main sport that I played in college. But watching, like I've always enjoyed watching football the most, much above soccer. Soccer is different, obviously. Watching,
for
um,
sure.
you got to have a different level of appreciation for it. But yeah, so I always loved the game, and then I think that yeah, honestly, like moving down to Arizona and working with you and Nick for Combine, like, can you believe that that was back in 2013? No,
I w
2014. 2014.
Part
Um,
of me didn't wanna hear the actual date because
yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
Jesus,
I can't believe
11
that
years
actually.
ago.
I know. But after that experience, yes, I've always had a fascination with the sport itself, the complexity of it, the strategy. And then I think from our perspective on the performance side, um, and I suppose maybe rugby is like this as well. And there are some other sports, but um,
Mm,
just the wide range of types of athletes that you're going to get and the types of demands,
yeah.
ranging from an O lineman to a running back to, that kind of thing is just fun for me.
Yeah. Um, you played soccer, you said, in college.
Mhm.
Was the goal to always get into S&C then, or did that kind of fall into your lap? Like what?
Yep.
Yeah.
So when I went to college, I knew I wanted to study kinesiology. So my undergrad's
Okay.
kinesiology. I had an exercise science class in high school, and I was like, this is by far my favorite subject. So kinesiology was the closest thing. Knew I wanted to study that, but when I got to school, had no idea what I wanted to do with it in the end.
Yeah.
Um, when I was in undergrad, that was the first time I had my first strength coach. I loved
Mm.
the gym in high school. I tell my online clients this all the time. Like I would go to the YMCA in high school and like loved the gym atmosphere, but had no idea what I was doing there. And then when I got to college, you can just imagine. Um, when I got to college, I had my first dedicated strength coach, and I was blown away by the difference that it made on me as an athlete. Being on a proper program, being coached, being in an environment with my teammates on a similar mission with them. And so I was experiencing our world of sports performance from the most practical standpoint in the gym and on the field and that kind of thing. And then I was learning about the science behind it in the
Mm.
classroom. And I remember thinking during certain conditioning intervals, like, wow, this is probably like what's going
What's
on at
happening?
like a cellular level, which don't quiz me on that today.
No,
But
no, no.
at the time, like it was so fresh. And that's what I was learning about from a science side that, yeah, I just became like, I fell in love with it. I became fascinated with it. It also took my competitive side, love for sports, love for people, working with people. So by the time I got to the end of undergrad, I was like, this is 100% what I want to do um,
Yeah.
for my career.
I love it. It's so cool because Brian Mann and I were actually talking about this as well, where he's a professor now at Texas A&M. I don't know if you're familiar with Brian, but I'd asked him, I was like, if you're talking to an 18-year-old, because he got into S&C in high school, wanted to lift, was kind of being bullied, used it as,
Oh,
kind of like his tonic
wow.
for how he was going to combat that. And then is just like this brilliant, brilliant exercise scientist that has this extensive personal history of being a power lifter and just kind of like earning his stripes in the gym.
Mhm.
And whether or not it's correct, meaning uh, people leaving exercise science programs now are very, very, very well educated, but maybe don't have the hours in the gym.
Sure.
And he was like, what he really wants to do is create a program where it's like freshman and sophomore. No, you're lifting first.
Yes.
So that when we get to science in your junior and senior year, you make these connections because what he fears is people are learning the science, but they don't have the actual like
Right.
personal experience to then go, oh, this is what's happening as I'm running my intervals,
Yeah,
and
right,
then
right,
make
right.
those connections. So it was
Mhm.
just really cool to hear you say, because he's like, no, that's what we need more of. We need more of you understanding what's going on because it's happening to your body as you're going through it. And then all of the cellular elements will make sense than me just like writing this on the whiteboard. So
No doubt.
the fact that
Yes.
that was your experience, that was really cool because we
Yeah.
were just talking about that.
Yeah, it was really, yeah, I still remember, like, the feeling of just, yeah, just becoming so passionate about a field that I really didn't know, existed before I got to, I mean, I, of course, knew that training existed, but not to that level and not in that way, and so, yeah, getting introduced to it and learning about it in the classroom simultaneously was just, like, an invaluable, I think, intro to our
Yeah.
industry. Yeah.
Do you have a favorite part of coaching? Do you have a favorite part of the process?
My gosh. Wow, what a great question. Um, a favorite part of coaching. I think one that I there's a lot, but one that comes to mind is being able to show someone that they can do something that they didn't think they could do.
Yeah.
Like, and
Mhm.
it's so cool it's so cool to be a part of that journey, to be able to apply an expertise, you know, basically what we just talked about, from like having the knowledge and like the practical like being able to implement it in a practical setting. um yeah, and to be able to be a part of their journey and then see them experience that, whether it's um yeah, someone experiencing something after an ACL rehab that they didn't know if they could ever do again, or running their fastest flying 10, whatever it is.
Yeah.
Seeing that is is so such a special feeling
Yeah.
for them, like to witness their success.
Yeah.
Um, that's one that comes to mind for sure. What about you?
You know, I think early on, figuring out the X's and O's of it, so to speak. And again, like you said, I didn't ever think so, but I think I've got a bit of an engineer's mind. So I want to be able to like reduce some of the science down to like making it very like, if I do this, this will work.
Yes.
Um, and so like figuring out the mechanics of things, which will give me the breathing room to then like connect personally, or but like I want to make sure um in my mind that like I've got the system figured out. I'm very system minded. So the fun in it for me is like, oh, if I put this together, this will work. So but it takes time to figure that out.
Yep.
Um but yeah, that's what I like, I
Yeah,
think.
for
But
sure.
then with you, using that to then create belief in people that they didn't know existed before,
Right.
right? Like
Right.
being able to have them be like, "Oh my god, I can do this." And it's like, "Yeah. Yeah,
Right.
you could do this." Like
Right.
I love those moments
Right. Yeah,
for
and just like
sure.
achieving new heights is, yeah, it's such a powerful tool. Our role can be such a powerful tool in people's lives, I think.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
you go to Exos, you do your internship,
Yeah.
and then if memory serves me correctly, this is off memory, I didn't do any research. You head to Louisville next, is that
Yeah.
right?
Great memory.
Yeah.
Yes.
What
Yeah.
was that like? Because now you're
Yes.
leaving like Exos private facility. You're
Yeah.
going to like pretty big school. I think House was there at the time. I don't know if you
Yeah.
worked with him, but he was there.
No.
Like, what was Louisville like?
Yeah. So Yep. After I interned with you and Nick Winkleman, I went to Louisville. I was I I decided to go to Louisville for a number of reasons. I was actually just talking to one of my athletes about this morning. They
Mm.
had have a master's in strength and conditioning and exercise phys that has a course based option. So, not that I don't think that research is important
Oh,
because it
yeah,
is, but
yeah.
I was so laser focused on what I desired my career or my next steps to look like that I thought it doesn't really fit for me right now to be in a lab-based setting.
Mm,
Um, Super research based at this phase of my career. I want to be like practical, hands-on, course based.
yep.
So it checked that box. And then I got a grad assistant position in sports performance. So I was able to continue working, yeah, practically and hands-on with their Olympic sports while I was there. So yeah, my first experience, obviously growing up in Canada, moving down here with like D1 American sports
Yep.
and a D1 school. And it was amazing. There was some really hard times about grad school for me.
Mm.
Just the hours are absurd. However, at that phase of your career, I really believe that that's what you need.
Yep.
Um, I tell this story. So my boss there was Tina Murray, and she would have me and the interns. Sometimes it was just me and another intern in there, like before the sunrise, of course, making like 250 peanut butter and jelly sandwiches for the athletes so that they would have a snack.
Yeah.
And so yeah, day starts really early. Day starts with a task like that, and then you're on the coaching floor all day. And so it was challenging at times, but it was fucking awesome. Like it was so many hours to learn, to experience, to fail, to um, have conversations with other sport coaches and other strength coaches and athletes and all that. It was just like the ultimate hands-on experience for 2 years. Um, and so, yeah, it was fun to be a part of a school like that and go to sporting events and travel with some teams and things like that. But ultimately, it was just, yeah, I think like an incredible learning experience for me. Um, Definitely gave me a whole new respect or level of like work ethic for sure.
Mhm.
And it allowed me to work with a very wide variety of sports. Um,
Mm.
so yeah, I mentioned I was on the Olympic side. So Tina's staff was responsible for everything other than football and men's basketball. And so over the 2 years that I was there in some capacity, I got some level of experience with all those different types of sports.
At any point, did you think to yourself, "I want to stay in the college setting? I enjoy the college setting," or was it like, "Nope, this is just part of the process?"
Yeah, I knew pretty quickly that I enjoyed my time there and I loved that as a phase, but that it wouldn't be something that was for me long term.
Yeah.
Um, yeah,
Where'd you go next?
I went to Los Angeles with Brett
Yeah.
Bartholomew.
Yep.
So fun. So he had moved out to a small startup out in literally. Did you ever go out to that facility?
I never ended up going.
Okay.
No.
So it's called Unbreakable. I believe it's still there.
Yeah.
It's in like the Hollywood Hills, like literally
Mm.
stuck into the hills. And so he had gone out there to run their performance program, and he hired me a little bit before I graduated. And Louisville had a great approach to they're grad students in that, especially in our field, if you got a job in your last semester and you had completed enough of your coursework, they would allow you to leave early and finish from a distance, just knowing that that type of role likely won't stay open for several
Right.
months. So I was able to go out there, accept the role with Brett at Unbreakable, and finish school from there. And Unbreakable was half athletes and half entertainers for the most part,
Mhm.
given kind of like where it was. So
Yeah.
that was the next stop.
Big shift from being at Louisville and working with college athletes to being in the Hollywood Hills
Yeah.
and like you said, working with entertainers. Also like a stark shift between like the private sector and professional sport.
Yeah.
Um, do you like the private sector?
I do. I do. I like there's just you know this. There's something about college sports and team sports and the pride that's around all of that and just the gear and the game day and all of it. So you definitely miss that part, but I think I've always enjoyed having a little bit more of a variety of athletes and
Yeah.
clients.
Hmm.
And I think that long term, there's a variety in sports, of course, in college, but it seemed more of the same, for lack of a better way to explain it. So,
Yeah.
yeah, the private sector was like, yeah, this place had it was half a gym and half jujitsu or like fighting mats, basically. That's not the right
Yeah.
term for that. And
You're good.
yeah, you would have like NFL athletes in there, you would have a celebrity in there, and then you would have maybe like a pro fighter and a someone their first day doing jujitsu. It's just like such a great mix of types of people.
Did you get any jujitsu in or no?
You know what? I didn't.
No.
I
Oh,
I know.
okay.
I know. I was actually speaking to someone about that the other day. Jiu-jitsu is such a cool sport, and it's something that I have never actually experienced myself.
Oh,
You do jiu-jitsu,
I
right?
do. Yeah, it's the best. It's
Yes.
great.
It
And
seems like the best.
yeah, and I don't know if you mentioned it, but Jay,
Yeah.
I mean, Jay's been in the slash mixed martial arts jiu-jitsu world
Yeah.
forever. So I'm not surprised to hear that he had Matt's there.
Yes.
I'll never forget. Yeah, when he was working, he was actually training at Athletes Performance when I was an intern. That's how I had met him. And I'll
Yeah.
never forget talking to him about it because I hadn't been doing it yet. And I was like, man, I want to go to this like Gracie school. And he was just like, "Blah, blah, 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 blah." And I was like, oh, you
He
actually know
loved
about
it.
this.
Yes.
Yeah. And he's legit from what I
Yeah.
understand when it comes to that.
Yeah, no doubt. Yes. It's a such an amazing display of athleticism and
Oh,
strategy and all of that, right?
everything. Oh, it's the best.
Yeah.
It's human chess,
Yeah,
with
no
like
doubt.
severe consequences is what like how Joe Rogan describes it, but he's right. It
Yeah,
is. It is.
what a great way to describe it.
One of the things that I think is interesting too, we're talking about your journey, and we're gonna like speed up just a little bit.
Yeah,
For me, I'm probably 10 years older than you.
okay.
And I knew in like the last 2 or 3 years that there was going to be a bit of a shift for me in kind of like the nature of my career,
Yeah,
and what I wanted it to look like and how I wanted to give back and how I thought that like I fit in the strength and conditioning space. And again, I think I'd seen it was either you or someone else where I was like, "Oh, yeah, that's exactly what I'm thinking of." You've made a bit of a shift in your career.
yeah,
You've got your Fortis shirt on. Tell me about the shift and what, if you are comfortable, what like precipitated it.
yeah. Um, I've always had, maybe not always, but definitely in the last 5 plus years, I've really become fascinated and interested in entrepreneurship.
Mhm.
Um, I it sounds cliche, but the growth mindset approach to things is something that I think is just kind of innate in me. And I always am looking for ways to challenge myself, ways to be challenged. Um, and I think that I had spent time, like we've just talked about, as an intern at EXOS, as a grad assistant in D1 sports, at a small startup private facility, and then kind of full circle back to where I interned, of course,
Mm,
starting working with, when I was hired back with EXOS in 2017, worked mostly with their youth soccer program, which was a great fit with my soccer background. And like,
Right.
yeah, that was amazing. And then over the time that I was there, progressed to run their NFL offseason program. And I loved it. I mean, I can't say enough good things about the company and the staff and everyone that I was able to work alongside and collaborate with and learn from. And you know how special that company is and that place is.
Yep.
Um, I always wanted to do this though, too, which is
Hmm.
start my own business, spread my wings a little bit. Um, Still working coaching, still work in-person coaching with general population, youth athletes, pro athletes. Um, get into the online space, which is so unique. COVID brought a lot of things. I think one thing that it brought is our belief in how we can do things like this, video chats, um, have reach all over the world through the internet. And so branch out into an online offering or offerings. And then so, my computer's about like an update or something, of course. Channel my, my passion for education and mentorship through education courses and mentorship programs as well. And so the best way that I saw to do that is to start Fortis. So yeah, that's sort of the progression and why I'm doing what I'm doing right now.
And Fortis, explain like exactly what it is. Exactly.
Yeah.
What?
Um, so it's I think one of the slogans on my website is elite performance for life. Um, Fortis is
Mm,
a training, education, um, and a training and education company and a community of people that are high performers, whether that looks like my NFL offseason group, whether that looks like um, I just signed on a brand new online client that she's had two children. She's never really worked out before. And so this is going to be like her first experience with something that we, know so well, strength training,
yeah.
the gym. And so, yeah, that's what Fortis is.
For now, and this is also like a little bit for me. You've signed this client on. If you, and again, if you're comfortable
Yeah.
sharing, please do. And if not,
Yeah.
that's cool too.
Yeah.
What does a virtual session with a client like that look like for you?
Yeah. So the way that my online program works, I just have one online um, offering right now from like a training or from a coaching perspective. So
Mm,
it's a custom program and they receive their custom training program actually in an app. So they complete their workouts on their own time. There's videos for every exercise. Their sets and reps are in there. My coaching cues are loaded into it. And so they go through the workout, on their own. And then I meet with them once a week on Zoom, really similar to this for 20
yeah.
minutes for a check in call to answer questions, offer support, maybe make any modifications to their program that we need to. It's a time one on one for me to get to know them better and maximize their time, in my program. And then I also offer on the nutrition side, calorie and macronutrient guidance. And my love for cooking. I have a huge library of recipes. And so I provide them with recipes that fall into their nutrition guidelines. And so that's how it works. So I'm not doing virtual sessions with them live,
Right.
but rather they are going through them on an app.
Awesome. Okay. Um, the jump, you've always wanted to be an entrepreneur, or it became a growing sort of desire for you to get into it. Um, it can be very, very scary going from I work as an employee, I get a paycheck, to like I'm going to start my own business
Yes.
in this space, right? Um, what was that process like for you, where it's like, no, I'm actually doing this now?
Yeah. Yep. Um, a huge learning experience. I think there's so many things that you don't know what you don't know. So you think like,
Yeah.
okay, these are probably going to be maybe the 10 tasks that I need to do within the next call it 2 or 3 months to get ready to launch my business. And then on each of those tasks, there's like, 5 tasks.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, that was definitely a huge learning. There's so much to learn there. What I did was basically continue to train athletes and clients in person, something I was familiar with while I was working. I set deadlines for myself for sure to hold myself accountable, like when I wanted to do things by, but I gave myself the space to hire the right people to help me with things that I didn't know how to do, as simple as set up an LLC. I don't know how to do that. I don't know. There's so many options.
Yeah.
So like hire someone to set up my LLC. I hired a girl who was fantastic to do my custom website and all my branding. Um, and so I gave myself enough time to orient myself with all these new things, put some people in place, like a trademark lawyer and things like that, to um, make sure that I wasn't. I think sometimes people are like, okay, I was doing this, now I'm going to do this, and they're not necessarily ready to like just pull a 180 and do something completely different. And so I think it was important for me to continue doing something familiar while building the new aspects, or what were going to become the new aspects of Fortis.
You know, this is it's something that I'm learning now. And like hearing you say, I'm like, God, one of the things that I have fallen into the trap of a little bit is like so much of this stuff you can do on your own,
Mhm.
right? Like you could build your own website and you
Yes.
can do this and you can do that. And my mind, again, sort of like as I don't want to say as a coach, was like, oh yeah, I'll make my own website and
Yeah.
I'll do this and I'll set up an LLC on my own. And I didn't hire people. And I turned around literally like I'm in the middle of this a month ago and I'm like, man, my website looks great, but it's not converting. And I looked and it was like, yeah, because the aspects of conversion you are not an expert in. So yeah,
Yeah.
you put together this website,
Sure.
but you should have hired someone
Yeah.
to do that. And
Right.
you recognized you're not an expert at this
Right.
and you hired people to do it. S- so in like a loaded question, you got people to handle the LLC, you got people to do your website.
Yeah.
What parts of it were you like, no, I'm gonna own this? Or were you
Yeah.
like, no, I want to outsource. I want to be the owner, not the
Yeah.
taskmaster.
Yes. The things that were important to me, well, in looking for someone, the LLC is hands off, right? It's pretty simple, but the web design and the branding and all that, I found a girl who I liked her look. I liked the
Mm,
stuff that she had done. Um, and just like we have a training style or a coaching style, these people typically have a style that they work in as well. And so I liked what she had done, but when I met with her, what was important to me is that it was a very back and forth process. So she would go to work on some logo stuff and then send me options, and I would, I was involved in that. And so that was hiring an expert, but making sure that it's not someone that's going to say, here you go, here's your stuff, or like, I'll work on this and I'll send it to you in 6 months. It was weekly, back and forth with her,
yeah.
which was important to me. Um, and then I guess stuff that I completely pretty much owned on my own was the what is my offering really going to look like? What are my offerings in Fortis? What is the actual client facing things going to look like?
Mm,
Because no one knows that better than me, I don't think. Like again,
yeah,
I don't want to hire someone on the strength and conditioning side. I might bounce things off people of like, hey, do you
for
think this is
sure.
an idea? But I had a pretty clear cut idea of this is what I want to be able to, this is the problem that I think is out there. This is the solution that I have. And this is how I want to deliver that solution to people. And so that was an aspect that I wanted to own entirely.
The need slash I have a solution.
Yeah.
That process for you in discovering, I think this is this need, was it just from you like coaching people, or did you do like market research? Like, how did you handle that
Yep.
part of it?
Yep. I did do some market research, had or Zoom conversations with random people from social
Yeah.
media of guys, girls, young, old, experienced in training, completely unexperienced in training, to get their thoughts on what they needed, um, or what they couldn't find. And
Mm.
then just from years of being in our industry and seeing what is out there online, um, I that's where I started with, basically, or where I got my initial info from.
So if you are giving advice to somebody that wants to take this leap into this world,
Yeah.
um, what are like some non-negotiables that you would tell them about how
Yeah.
to get started?
Into like the online training space, or just our industry in general?
Let's start with the online training space.
Yeah. Um, Being super organized, making sure that you're a super organized person, for sure. Um, Being clear on what problem it is that you're trying to solve. I think sometimes people are
Mm,
like, or what, having an idea of what you think the problem is and what you want to solve, and then confirming it with actual market research and some conversations and things like that. I think sometimes people think, I have I think that there's this problem, I have a solution to it, and that's actually not a problem.
yeah.
And so I think that's important, identifying like, what is it actually that you're going to be doing, and is this a need? Is there something out there? Is there a market for it? Um, and then being very clear on how you're going to deliver your product, what exactly
Mm,
it's going to look like, and how you're going to be a sustainable business. How are you going to acquire your clients? How are you going to sign up your clients? What does the system look like on your end? And then
mm.
what does it look like on the client facing side? Like, what do they see? What is the process like for them? And is it repeatable?
So you mentioned you've got an app that has the programs that you can change for the person. So
Yeah.
when you're saying knowing how it was going to, like, did you know from the beginning, this is how I want this to look? Or did that evolve for you?
Yes, I did have a couple different. I knew I didn't want to be doing live workouts online.
Perfect.
That's
Yeah.
something that was not. Um, I think it could be great for certain people and can serve a purpose, but that wasn't the vision for my business and what I wanted to offer and deliver and help people with. So I knew that I wanted it to be delivered on an app that they could do on their own time. um, I went back and forth a little bit on exactly. It took me a little bit to nail down exactly what I wanted my offering to be. I
Hmm.
didn't start with like training in an app, 20-minute Zoom call. This is what
Right.
my nutrition's going to look like.
Right.
And I did play around with a couple ideas of like, maybe I'll do just a training one, maybe I'll do just a nutrition offering. But what I realized is, as we know, they're so integrated, and both of them together are so important that uh, that I decided that it was definitely the way that I wanted to go, to have them both be together.
I love the answer. Because as a strategy, knowing what you don't want clearly first is like the best starting point.
Mhm.
I think a lot of people are like, I want to do this, I want to do this, I want to do this. And you can get lost in the weeds that way. Whereas you're like, I'm not gonna be doing a Peloton class. Like, I'm not gonna be like, this isn't gonna be like my version of like fight camp. I know what I don't want to do, and then the rest of it will evolve. So it's kind of like, if there could be like this roadmap again, like I've got this engineer's mind of like this system that you could provide. It's kind of like,
Yes.
know what you don't want first.
Yes.
Market research. This is how. second. Like confirm your
Yeah.
biases around what needs are. Like before
Yes.
you do anything else, like do these things first to
Yes.
get started, because
Yes.
if you do it the other way, all of a sudden you've got this world swirling around you and there's chaos.
Mhm. It's
Um
almost like starting to write a program with selecting the exercises. Like, it's backwards, right? Like, that's the last
yeah.
part of it. Yeah, something that I was very clear on was I want anytime a program is delivered to any of my online clients, I want it to be the same level of programming in the same amount of detail as if they were with me in person. Of course,
Mm,
there's going to be some differences. I'm not there. But the, the app allows me to even record voice memos. Um, so if you're opening your app for the day, it allows me to say, "Hey Dennis, this is, your primary strength block of the day. You'll notice that we're doing cluster sets today. Pay close attention to the rest periods. This is the goal of the cluster set." So it's a very good experience for the user on the other end. Um, and I wanted to make sure that it was, yeah, as close to working with me in person as possible.
the app that does that, is that a proprietary app or did you just find one to integrate with?
No, I found one to integrate with. I would love to build my own app. I don't know how
Yeah.
much research you've done on this, but it is pricey.
Yes,
Yeah,
I
it's
imagine.
pricey. Mhm.
I
So
imagine it's a beast.
yeah, so that's something that time-wise and, obviously money when you're starting a business, that's not the where I wanted to put funds towards, but I would love to do that in the future. Just yeah, that is on the list down the road.
So as somebody that spent their time on the floor, I'm imagining, I mean, you said you're still coaching clients, but if you were to think about it from like a percentage standpoint, what
Yeah.
percentage of your time are you like in the gym, like coaching one-on-one?
Yeah, I would say it's a little bit seasonal, like all things are in our industry. This time of the year during NFL off season, I'm in the gym a little bit more.
Mm,
I'd say at the heavier in-person coaching times, I am coaching probably 40% of my
oh,
time, and
yeah.
on the lower end, 25.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So still a good amount.
Still a good amount, and I want it to be that way. I would miss as much as I'm passionate about the online stuff, and that will continue to be a big part of my business. I would miss not coaching on the floor. And that's another, I think, important thing to keep in mind for people wanting to start online coaching businesses, or for maybe more importantly, and I don't know how many listeners are going to be, fall into this category, but if you're looking for an online coach, if I was looking for an online coach, I would not want to hire someone that has never coached someone in person.
Person.
And so I would miss it if I wasn't doing it. And I think that even if I didn't miss it, it would be important to continue doing it to a certain level.
That last statement, I don't want to keep being like, I just had this conversation, but I did, which was interesting. I was talking to Scott Hobson, and we were saying, man, there are coaches that kind of like made their way or came out during the COVID era where they were thrust into having to coach online, but they had actually never coached anybody in person, just like by virtue of the insanity of what COVID was. But there's this cohort of coaches that have never coached people in person.
Yes,
Um, I didn't know that that could be a thing, but I guess it's a thing.
it's crazy.
It is nuts. Are there any other buyer beware, not necessarily for the consumer, but for people that want to get into entrepreneurship where you'd be like, make sure you have this squared away first? What advice would you give you
Hmm.
when you were getting started with Fortis?
Yep. Um, Good question. I think giving yourself, and I suppose we've already touched on this, but giving yourself, don't rush things. Give
Yeah.
yourself enough time to do everything properly. It's like, what is that quote? If you don't have time to do it right, when are you going to have time to do it again? It's like, don't
Yeah.
rush stuff. Just because it's online doesn't mean it's any less important. Just because it's, yeah, just make sure that you give yourself the time to do things at the highest level, because as we know, there's a difference, and people deserve to have a service that's delivered at the highest level. So yes, definitely. Yeah, I think sometimes, and I've had conversations with people over the last year for sure, and maybe even before that, of like, yeah, I think I'm going to get into the online training space. I'm going to, like, write a couple programs and like post them online. It's like, sure, I guess everyone has different goals for things, but
Mm.
that was definitely not my vision. And so, as much as I was so excited and eager, and I ended up launching officially my business in May of last year, so coming up on a year. And in November, I was like, I'm for sure gonna launch in January. Like, and then in January, I was like, for sure it's gonna be February. Like, February is the new January. And thankfully I didn't rush things, and I didn't end up, yeah, I would say to people, don't launch too soon. Figure out what that looks like ideally, maybe, but be flexible with, it's like a construction project. Be flexible with the actual, end date. So yeah, that would be my biggest piece of advice. Things always kind of take a little bit longer than we think they're going to.
Yeah, and that's not a bad thing.
It's not a
You know
bad
what I
thing.
mean? I think
It's
people think
definitely
it's a
not a bad
bad
thing.
thing. Yeah, no, it's
Not
not.
a bad thing.
So you launch in May. The run up to that launch, how long was it in the works? Was it 2 years in the works? Was it 1 year in the works?
Yeah, so it was, I would say, a dedicated 6 months.
Okay.
Dedicated 6 months leading up to May. Um, and yeah, I can't believe that it's already actually coming up on a year. But I think to myself, the last, just like January, February, especially, I've thought to myself, wow, like last January and February, I wasn't doing this.
This
My
wasn't
my
happening.
day-to-day schedule, my life, so much about my business, and all of that was so much different just 12 months ago. And it's
It's
it's been
insane.
fun to reflect back on. Yeah.
I'm just because I know we've had a previous talk and I've heard you mention this as like a resource. How I built this.
Yes.
I know that you'd mentioned that being one of your kind of like resources.
I love
Um,
that podcast.
yeah. Any other either people or podcasts that jump out? And again, they don't have to be like I'm learning where you're just like, I just love what this person has today. So like for me, Alex Hormozy, Chris
Yeah.
Williamson, Stephen Bartlett, like those are the podcasts I listen to where like, oh, I get energy and like inspiration and for
Yeah.
you, are there any others?
Yep, I listen to How I Built This by far the most. It pops up like number one when I open my podcast app. I also love the Huberman podcast.
Oh yeah.
I love the mix of like 4 hour long episodes for the deep dives, and then are they called the essentials, I think,
Yeah.
that are quick hitters, 30, 45 minutes of just jam packed. I say 30 to 45, but I often listen to them twice because I feel like
Yeah.
there's so much good information in there. So those are my top two, I would say. Yeah, my most go to, and the similar to the essentials, maybe the How I Built This has something called the advice line. And so those are about 30-minute episodes. And the host of this podcast, his name is Guy Raz. And
Hmm.
Guy brings on past um, guests. So people he's already interviewed, which means they're a very successful entrepreneur. He brings them on alongside of him. And then new entrepreneurs call in for advice, hence why it's called the advice line. And the two of them provide advice to these young entrepreneurs, that whatever they want to ask on, whether it's scaling or investment money and when to take it on, or a specific problem, getting the word out of their business, marketing, so many different things. And I love those almost equally to the other, that they're obviously super applicable to me, with the
Yeah.
entrepreneurs.
Um, the coaching life cycle, which is kind of what it's not my it's not my term, but I feel like there's, at least for me, there's like that divide that happens where it's like, oh, I just want to coach on the floor and learn as much as possible, and it's all like S&C 24 to 34, and then I think like right around 34, there's a bit of I wonder what the world looks like that's a little bit different. So I feel like there are these two, and when that happens, there's a bit of a shift. But I do believe that a lot of strength coaches, especially now, have a bit of an entrepreneurial mindset where they're like, I think I'm either going to open my own gym, whatever that looks like, or
Yes.
whatever it is. For the 24 to 34-year-old coach, the you that was at Louisville,
Yeah.
what advice would you give yourself now to that version of yourself?
Yeah. Um, Such a great question. Spend just as much time learning and mastering effective communication, building relationships, session design, and I don't mean programming, but session design and creating atmosphere in your sessions as you do getting obsessed with programming and the nitty gritty X's and O's and things like that. That's something that comes to mind and I think about quite often. I think that that's maybe more the art and science. I suppose they're like so interchangeable, but
Yeah.
the the side of our industry that makes our job so different than personal training, so different than a one-on-one session of I'm going to write a program, I'm going to take someone through it, and then not that you don't need to build relationships with those people and build trust, and of course that's important, but um learning communication styles to larger groups of people, how to
Mm.
have command, how without shouting in people's ears, how to design sessions so that every aspect of it is optimized, where to insert competition, how to cue people, like all those things. Spend maybe even more time on that than on should I put a front squat here or a back squat? Like put either, it doesn't matter. Like, you know what I mean? Do 4 sets or 3 sets. I don't know. Put four and maybe I'll do three. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, that would be number one. Um, Keeping things simple always would be number two. Like, don't try to jam everything into every single session. Figure out what is the main goal of this session, what is the adaptation I'm trying to create, and then therefore what should the stimulus look like. Just keep things super simple. I would say don't just progress things for the sake of progressing things, whether that's in speed development or in the weight room. And then I would say the last one is like talk less. Let the athlete move, learn from them. Like, don't, yeah, just talk less during sessions, all of it. Be a sponge, whether that's visually or yeah, through learning from others, from listening to them speak.
1% better every day is a huge amount. And I think people try to be 100% better every day. And it's like maybe not as realistic. And yeah, I love those as pieces of advice. I was smiling with each one and saying, man, that's great advice. It's so hard to like figure out how to operate, but it's so spot on. Like, um, take less pressure off of yourself and just listen more. I had a conversation with my mentor, like my very first one, and he was actually my very first talk that I did because I was like, I
Okay.
want to do this, and he was like, of course I'll do it for you, man.
Yeah.
Let's talk about it. And I was like, man, when you're hiring, like, what are you looking for? You're in the hiring thing now. He's a director. Like, what are you looking for? And he's like, I'm looking for people with the soft skills. I'll teach them how to program.
Yeah.
Can they talk to an athlete, and can they get them up when I need them to get them up? And then can they bring them down when we need them down? Can this person communicate? The other stuff, is easy to figure out, but that stuff is what we need. And it's just like, yeah. And everybody I talk to, like, yeah, we need people that know how to communicate, and we'll teach them sets and reps. And
Yes.
that's the easy part.
Yes. Yes. I think so. Yeah. That's the all of it's fun, but that's the really fun stuff to me.
Your how to be a chameleon, or
Mm.
what is, tell me more about the idea of being the chameleon and what that means.
Like specific to my presentation that I'm going to be doing or just in general?
Let's start with in general.
Yeah. Um so I think that even just piggybacking off of what we some of the things that I just mentioned of communication and program design and things like that, I think that um something that you always have to keep in mind who it's like writing a presentation. You got to know your audience. So I
Mm,
asked you today, like or
who are
earlier,
we
like
talking to? Yeah.
who is this for? Is this for
Yeah.
I don't know. I knew it wasn't, but like a personal trainers conference, or like what is this for? Um,
Hmm.
who's listening? And so I think that when we coach, um, we have to keep top of mind who we are coaching. And although the principles may not change, um, we need to be able to adapt certain things about how we show up as coaches to in favor of who we are coaching.
Mm,
And whether that's analogies that are going to resonate or cues that are going to resonate with I work with an 11, 12-year-old figure skater right now. My energy in the session with her versus my NFL guys are very different. Do I cue
mm,
a lower body push like a squat fairly similar? Yeah, I actually do.
yeah.
Um, in terms of like, actually executing the movement, but without changing who I am and coming off, inauthentic. Um, the way that I show up in those two sessions with a group of men, professional athlete men versus a one on one youth female athlete are different. And so we need to be able to read people and show up in a way that's going to maximize their time, not just show up as, okay, I'm here, I'm running my session pretty much the same way, regardless of who's on the other end of it. So, yeah, that's, I guess, like where the thought process initially comes from.
Yep. And now with respect to your presentation, if you can give a little bit,
So
or
I haven't gotten I present, at the conference in August,
oh,
and
so you got
so
time. Oh
yeah,
yeah.
so I still have time to get into, like, the nitty-gritty of it, but I will be doing a lecture and then also a hands-on, which I'm almost more excited for I'm excited for both, but the hands-on will be so fun. And just, yeah, showing some strategies, sharing some lessons learned of how can you because ultimately I feel like hopefully we all get into this industry with the desire to help people. And I say
Mhm.
often in my Fortis business that I truly believe that proper exercise, whatever that looks like, whether it's high performance or more basic session, but proper exercise, proper training, and nutrition, along with several other things, sleep and recovery and all that, of course. But those two things are like the best way to transform all aspects of our life. I think that
Yep.
we're going to be healthier physically, we're going to be more confident, we're going to be able to show up as a better version of ourselves for us, for our loved ones. How we show up in the world is going to change. I think it helps you make more money.
Yeah.
You know, I think that it's such an incredible vehicle. I think that we have such an incredible gift that we can share with people, and so regardless of who it is, we want to be able to get that message across in the most effective and efficient way. And so we need to be able to change a little bit of how we show up to make sure that we're serving whoever we're talking to.
Food,
Food.
cooking. Yeah.
Talk to me. What do you want to talk about?
Always a passion or like, I mean,
I
like the
love cooking.
cooking side of things? Yeah.
Yeah.
Always
Uh,
loved it?
so my mom cooked a lot when I was growing up. Um, I have so many great memories of like helping her in the kitchen, watching her cook, learning, what she was doing, and then sitting down as a family and eating. So that goes obviously way back. And then honestly, my personal love for cooking really came out of necessity when I was in grad school, working those crazy hours, making those PB&J sandwiches. Um, I was gone from 5 in the morning until 5 to 8 at night, depending on like what my day looked like, right? And
Mhm.
so I had to take all my meals with me. I didn't have enough money to go buy food. It
Yeah.
wasn't, I had no money. I didn't have enough money to go buy food. I didn't have time to go buy food. It wasn't as healthy. So I thought, like, I need to figure out what the best way to cook a bunch of food super efficiently while being budget friendly and still hopefully eating some yummy food. I need to figure this out. And
Yeah.
so I started doing that in grad school, and then slowly, yeah, just my time in LA and then moving back to Arizona, I just fell more in love with the process of knowing how important proper nutrition is for performance, recovery, like cognate, all of it. And
Mhm.
so, yeah, knowing how important it was from that standpoint. And then I love food. I feel like most people probably would say they love food. And so, yeah, being able to cook really good food and then also teach people how to cook really good food. Like, it doesn't need to be hard. You don't need to be in
Yeah.
the kitchen for an hour to cook dinner. You can make something that's super healthy, nutrient dense, easy, all that in 20 minutes and eat it for yourself or share it with your family or whatever it is. So I think that being able to cook well is like empowering. And it's
Yeah.
crazy how many of these skills that we don't really learn. We don't learn how to cook for ourselves really, like,
Nope.
in school. That should be, in elementary school, I feel like we should start learning how to cook because these are essential things that we need to do. We eat every day, and so let's make it yummy and let's make it healthy and let's make it simple and doable for people.
Are those cooking classes or, like, cooking modules, is that part of Fortis as well? Have you put that stuff up?
So that's that's something that I would love to be able to
Ah,
do.
yeah.
It's not a part of an offering yet. The way that I do that now is providing the recipes, super simple. The instructions are there, simple ingredients, and then they all take about like 20, 30 minutes to make. The calories and macros are there just for education purposes.
Mm.
And so, yeah, and then I'll talk on my weekly calls about strategies and things like that if people need help on that side. But yeah, that's where that comes from.
I think I shared with you my new, obsession is making pasta.
Yes.
It's, like
Homemade,
pasta
you
from
said.
yeah, like from scratch, for
Yeah,
sure.
like real pasta.
Like real pasta and then going through a sauce, protein, whatever it is, but, just pasta dishes is, like, where my current obsession is.
Yes.
Um, I think my son is like, "Man, do you cook anything else?" And I'm like, "No, I'm not cooking anything
I'm good
else.
at this. I'm gonna
This
keep
is
at
yeah,
it.
this is what I like to do, and this is what I'm gonna do because he's not a fan of it at the moment, and so
Yeah,
he's like, "Can you, like something else to cook?" And it's like, "No, this is what I like to cook."
yeah.
Is there a favorite thing that you like to cook?
Oh my
Is there
gosh. So I haven't gotten into the, like, homemade pasta yet. You're one step ahead of me.
Mm,
I need to do that.
yeah. Oh, yeah.
I need to pick your brain another time on that. I do love to cook Italian food. Like, I love pasta. I think I just made maybe my favorite recipe ever a couple weeks ago that was lamb bolognese.
Ooh.
And I
Oh
did
my god.
fresh pasta from Whole Foods. So I did not make it. It is not it I'm not going to pretend. But yeah, I love to cook that. I just love to cook. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think probably Italian food like pasta, we share that thought. Yeah, it's fine.
Really?
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Um Yes, I'll have to shoot my red sauce to you
Please.
at some point for you to try it and tell me what you think.
Yes, please.
Um, you've got a lot going on. Uh, I'm sure it's probably like an open-ended question, but like, is there something that either part of your day to day or not
Yep.
that like when you wake up, like like really excites you, where you're like,
Mhm.
man, and I don't mean like, and it can be maybe it's like I'm coaching my athletes, or like I said, maybe it's a topic on a podcast. Like, what really excites Natalie?
Gosh, I think so much. I think that, and this is why I wanted to start Fortis. There's no ceiling. The opportunities are just like endless.
Mm,
And sometimes that's a blessing and a curse because I'm like, okay, now you need to like figure out exactly like what is the next task because I can just get so excited about so many things. But I
mm,
think um I'm most excited about just being able to continue to create.
yeah,
Not that there is anything wrong with working for a company or for someone else, but you know how that is. There's like, you have to approve things by all these different levels and people, and it has to fit the vision and all that. And I mean, I suppose things definitely need to fit the vision of Fortis, but I I have education courses and mentorship offerings that are coming in 2025, and I those can look however I want them to look. Like I
yeah,
can create them in a way that I think is going to be super special for people. I can yeah, there's no limits on things right now, which is so freaking fun. It's
yeah.
yeah, it's great.
This might be a loaded question.
Hit me.
Yeah, entrepreneurship is scary for a lot of people.
Yeah.
Um, and I'm not going to sit here and say that it isn't hard. It's hard. Is the fear around it being hard too
Like
is it
extreme.
embellished? Yeah, like I mean, for those that are on the fence, would you just be like, no, go for it? Or would you be like, buyer beware? Like,
Yeah,
what is your feeling? Yeah,
I think I definitely think it's not for everyone.
yeah,
I think that certain people, and again, there's nothing wrong with this. It's definitely not less than, it's just different. I think some people thrive and flourish in structure that's created for them. Working maybe as a bigger, working as a part of a bigger organization. Um, and maybe climbing to the top of that organization or whatever that looks like. So I don't think it's for everyone. And I think you can have great success no matter where you are. I think that maybe some people underestimate what it actually looks like. Like some people maybe think like, oh, they're probably heading to massage appointments in the middle of the day and like,
yeah,
they they don't work a full schedule. It's like you definitely work a full schedule, maybe even more,
yeah,
quite often more. Just the layout of it, at least for me, the layout of my weeks looks very different than it used to. I'll often be doing a little bit of work to set myself up for the week on Sundays, which I suppose I did sometimes before, but do more now. And so yeah, I think that maybe some people underestimate what it actually looks like. Um,
mm,
and then I would say if you're going to start anything as an entrepreneur, make sure you're really good at it. Like,
yeah,
if it's going to be your main thing, not to say that people can't, like dabble in something and that so many incredible businesses started as like a side project that they had really not a lot of idea on what it was going to really look like and maybe it was new to them but they just sort of learned it alongside their full-time job. It can look like that too, I suppose, but if it's going to be like an all-in thing, make sure it's something that you're really good at because there's competition, there's ups and
yeah,
downs, there is all of that too. And so I think you can 100% ride those waves and um kind of embrace those things if you're really confident in your specific skills and the services that you're offering. So I think it's like anything. There's always going to be those people that are like, oh, you shouldn't start your own business. Like it's really risky. And I suppose
Mhm.
that it is, but to me, I think that it's almost more risky working for a company that you don't have say in kind of what goes on. Um,
Yeah.
Whereas if I succeed, it's because of me, and if I fail, it's also because of me.
Yeah.
So I think that maybe the risk is just different.
I love it.
Yeah.
Natalie, thank you for your time.
Yay, this was so fun.
Yeah, it was
For
great.
having me on.
Yeah. I'm excited to hear how your talk at Perform Better goes.
Thank
I
you.
really want to hear how that turns out.
Yeah.
I think that they reached out to you is awesome.
Yeah.
I think it says a lot about what you're doing and
Thank you.
good stuff.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.